Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, y'all. All right, should you buy a house, cash, or should you finance it? That's the topic for today. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button, and share. Let's go. Hey, make sure you check us out at the realestateandchillpodcast.com. Buy your real estate merch now. Real estate merch with swag. A brand for hustlers only. Let's go. Welcome back to the newest episode of Real Estate and Chill Podcast. I'm your host, James Chatter, here to help you with all your residential financial needs, here with
Kevin Iglesias, associate real estate broker. Today is a hot topic. It's a topic that everybody discusses. Should you buy a house, cash, or should you get financing? Jimmy, let's hear your thoughts on this one.
All right, so I really do think that if you have a lot of cash, let's say, for example, you're buying like $1 million house, right? If you have $1 million that you want to just throw towards a house, and you have nothing else better to invest it with, then put it towards a house. There's no point of paying interest on something that you don't have to, right? But if you have other investments that you could use that $1 million with in a better situation, then you should take a loan out for the house. What are your thoughts?
So let's talk about the rates two years ago, right? The rates were what, 2, 3s, very low.
It's like free money.
Free money. In that instance, if you had a lot of cash, I would say just get the financing because it doesn't make sense to spend all your money, you know?
Yeah.
It's free money. The bank was giving literally free money.
Right.
But now that the rates, according to Google, all right,
Google,
the medium like rates are like in the 6s, 7s.
call me if you want good rates though.
Better rates?
But
all right.
I get what you're saying. Like now that the rates are higher, like there's more of an incentive to be like, all right, if I can't. So basically how it works, it's all about opportunity cost, right? Let's say, for example, the mortgage, like you're getting $1 million mortgage, the interest rate is 6%. But you have another investment where you can make an 8% return on that $1 million. It would be a better idea for you to make that investment and get that 8% than to put that money and lock it up in a mortgage and have to pay 6% on it. Because that 2% differential means that you should buy the house with financing and not with cash.
So you know what's funny is that Grant Cardone always says his famous line, right? Cash is trash. Like his thing is like saving up money is no good. You should always invest it. And in the height of the market, I had a cash buyer. We were sending offers for $850,000, bro, and we were still getting outbid.
With a cash buyer?
With cash buyer, $850,000. Imagine sending an offer for $850,000, feeling confident in your offer, saying, you know what, I got this. Getting rejected over and over and over again. That's how hot the market was here on Long Island. In New York, that cash offers were getting outbid. And usually in a market, when you're getting a cash offer, I got my boy Ernest here in the building, right? When we get a cash offer, in a normal market, we're always like, you know what? This makes a lot more sense because when you get a cash offer, people that don't know, when you're getting a cash deal, you don't have to go through the bank. You don't have to sit down with Jimmy, look at his beautiful set of hair and eyebrows. You don't have to worry about getting rejected, right, for your credit or debt-to-income ratio. You don't have to worry about losing your job.
There's
cash
no contingencies.
is cash, exactly. No contingencies. You could buy it all cash and not even have to worry about anything, right, when you get a cash deal. But the fact that people were losing out on deals and having strong cash offers, to me, was insane. I was like, I've never seen something like this before.
I honestly think that cash is, like, let me ask you this before I go into this. For a cash deal, how long does it usually take from like when you sign contracts to when you close?
That's a great question, Jimmy. When you sign contracts on a cash deal, it all depends on how quickly that title comes back, right? Because when it's cash, all you're really waiting on is title. And if you want to do a survey, you could do a survey. That title is going to come back and let you know if there's any judgments or liens on the title that you should be worried about. Again, people buy properties cash all the time. Let's say foreclosures, short sales that come with violations and liens, et cetera, et
so
cetera.
they know what they're walking into.
Exactly. So that has to all be cleared up before you purchase the home in certain circumstances. Not in all circumstances, all right? But I would say 2 to 3 weeks, maybe.
What if I told you that I can close the deal in the same amount of time and give you more money? If you have an offer for $850 all cash and somebody's working with me and you know how quickly I work and I can close your deal in 3 weeks with all the contingencies, everything that you need, right? And get you $10,000 to $15,000 more. What would be like this is just like a random thought, but like if you're getting a cash offer for $850, what would be the equivalent for the same amount of time with a loan, but just like with financing? What would
So
be like the equivalent?
you're gonna get me more money and close around the same period of time.
Like, how much more money would I have to give you?
But it's all right. Money is important to everybody. So let's just say the property was listed at $850. I got an $850 cash offer. If you're telling me, hey, I can do it for the same deal in 2 to 3 weeks, I'm like, I'd rather go with the cash, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not so intriguing. But if you're telling me, hey, look, I'll offer you $20,000, $30,000 more, it has to be something that's worth it,
Yeah.
right? It has to make something that makes sense. But
But
here's
how often do cash offers fall out of contract?
very,
Because there's
very
like
rare.
there's like
very
you
rare.
don't have a denial letter that you can.
There's
get
no denial.
that, like-
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me, look, I can make it happen in 2-3 weeks and offer you a lot more money, but can you guarantee me that that buyer is not going to lose his job? Because in the pandemic,
yeah, you can't.
you can't. There's no guarantee.
Yeah.
Hey, make sure you check us out at the realestateandchillpodcast.com. Buy your real estate merch now. Real estate merch with swag. A brand for hustlers only. Let's go!
So in the pandemic, there was a lot of deals that were falling apart because unfortunately people lost their jobs who weren't essential workers, right? If you were an essential worker like a nurse, a doctor, et cetera, your job was secured because you were needed. But that's the problem is that you guys can't secure, even the person buying the house can't secure that.
Yeah.
They're going to keep that job. So 9 times out of 10, it's always a better option to go with the cash deal depending on the circumstance.
I would say that realistically, that rarely happens, right? Like somebody lose their job and stuff. We saw it over the pandemic a lot.
I wouldn't
But
say rarely.
There's yeah. I mean, there are situations.
We
where
live in
that
an
happens.
unpredictable world
Yeah,
now.
but there are always like twists and turns. Every single deal, there's no mortgage that I've ever done that's just been such a straight arrow that like, oh, this just takes 2 seconds and we're done. Because I would clear those deals in like a week. There's always something that comes up. Listing agent, I'm not obligated to tell them everything, but you know, there's always twists and turns, and you would rather not deal with the headache, you know?
Let's rewind back because in a mortgage contract, like a residential contract, there's always a stipulation in the contract that's put in there by the attorneys that states there that if the buyer is denied the mortgage,
They can take their down payment money back and walk out.
but here's the thing, with cash,
Can't do that.
you can't do that.
But if you have $1
So-
million cash, then you're just chilling.
All right, if somebody's buying a property for $1 million cash, I guarantee you that's not their only $1 million
that's not-
in the bank.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't think, they look at $1 million the way that we look at $1 million is completely two different
Yeah, two
two different things, two different worlds.
Yeah.
Right? But with a cash deal, let's say you put $10,000 down on a house and you say, oh, you know what? I don't really like that house anymore. The attorney's going to be like, well, that sucks. That sucks for you.
You already signed contracts. You
Yeah,
have to buy it.
100%. There's no denial letter. There's no like, yo, that was a monopoly money. That wasn't really my account. Sorry. You're
I've heard
losing.
stories of somebody who was a cash buyer. This was years ago, that was trying to back out of a house because they bought a house. They put the offer in with cash, and then after they tried to get financing for it and couldn't get the financing for it. So then the deal fell apart, and the owner of the house kept the down payment money.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people do try to do the bait and switch.
Yeah.
What happens like very commonly in this business, right? Where they send you a cash offer and they're like, oh, you know what, the rates are so low, I'm gonna go better, off with the financing. But I mean, that's all up to the attorneys on how they put it and structure it. But if I was a seller in that, like looking inside, I would say, all right, look, if you want to get financing, that's completely a different offer. Like it's not even
Yeah.
the same deal that you
Because then
that
you have
presented
offers.
to me.
Well, you could have offers $10,000, $20,000 over that you just.
But
dipped
what if
out
they
on.
say, okay, look, I'm switching things up, but I'll give you another $10,000, $15,000, and
maybe
it's like,
it'd
you
be
know
okay.
what, fine.
Yeah.
But I think there should be something in there that states if you can't get the financing, then the deal just reverses itself and it's back to cash.
Because you're taking a loss on $10,000 to $15,000 just to forego the risk.
And this happens all the time, right? When you see a house that's on the market, it's a hot house, let's just say, and for whatever reason the house falls apart, the deal falls apart and comes back on the market. Now you must have wasted anywhere from like 45 to 60 days dealing with this buyer to come back on the market now. Imagine being on the market at a all-time high, right? Let's say, I don't even know month-wise, but I would say before June, I think things started to cool down a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's say in Long Island, let's say you got the offer of your dreams, right? At the height of the market. And then 45, 60 days later, the market completely shifts.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, crap, I can't get back my over-asking offer anymore.
Yeah.
Because people now, they're thinking, all right, you know what? The rates are a lot higher, and I can negotiate a little bit better now.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody's saying, oh, these prices are dropping. These prices are dropping. I mean, when rates go up, prices do have to come down a little, but don't get me wrong. I'm still listing properties in certain neighborhoods, certain
I'm still
locations.
seeing properties getting like over asking accepted offers. I'm honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little shocked. Like we have this platform to be open and free, right? Like I'm a little shocked by that. Like I'm surprised that the prices didn't go down more, but that just shows how strong of an asset real estate is.
Well, again, there's a housing shortage. The inventory is
Still.
There's still a shortage of inventory. So regardless, people need homes to live in, right? And I know people push this all the time, like, oh, you can always refinance later, but it's true. I mean, that home that you may want may not be there when the rates go back down, because think about it. Right now, we're in the, like it says, according to Google, in like the 6s, 7s, or whatever the case may be. Once those rates go back down, let's just say they go back down to like 4s, like low 5s, it's going to cause a frenzy again.
I mean, we're like rates have moved down. Like we're shooting this today on January 3rd, right? At this point, rates have cooled down from the highs that they were at like months ago. So they've already come down a little bit. We're already starting to see, it's right after the holidays, you know, this could start something again with like a bunch of buyers coming back into the market and really just driving things around. Because honestly, when interest rates are low and the inventory's at what it's at right now, it's gonna be crazy again. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, I don't like that market. I know like a lot of people say they love it. I personally don't. I would rather have a market where it's stable, because then it really shows like your skills and everything like that. Not just like your negotiating skills come into play when the market's normalized, right? When the market's high, you're a buyer's agent, you know, it's just a matter of like who has the highest number. That's what I've been seeing. You might be telling me different. I don't know. According to therealdeal.com, our source for today, the share of homes purchased entirely with cash rose to 31.9% in October, according to the recent report from Redfin, up 2 percentage points from a year earlier. The share of all cash purchases reached its highest level since 2014, the brokerage reported. Clearly, in October, that's when like the rates really went up. Like that's when rates were, I think, the highest throughout 2022.
What were the rates around that time?
I think that was like when the rates were like the market rate was like in the 7s.
Because that was a big increase. I feel like that happened like day and night. I feel like the rates were like, what, like 4s, I would say?
4s beginning of this year, probably.
So what were the rates? What were the rates? Like, I felt like that increase just like it skyrocketed like day and night.
Yeah, because the government was basically, feds were increasing the rates by 75 basis points each, like monthly at one point. So they kept raising the rates. The government was reducing its share of mortgage bonds that they were purchasing. So rates just had to go up. So it went up really quickly. They were trying to fight inflation. They were saying, we don't care about anything. Our main priority is lowering inflation. And because of that, they were just like, all right, we don't care what happens, basically. Like they just were okay with raising rates, like lowering the amount that they wanted to lower the amount that everyone was spending. So that's what happens when you raise rates. So they were just doing it super quickly.
What was I going to say is that speculation that the rates are going to go back down to in this year, like in the 4s. I've read a couple articles saying that, but it's never guaranteed, right?
Of course not. Rates could go in any which way. Like I've spoken to a lot of people who have been telling me that rates are going to go back up again to where they were, even higher. Like into the October levels are going to go way higher than that. I've also spoken to people who said that rates are going to go down for the next couple of months. So really nobody knows. Like nobody controls the market.
There's no crystal ball.
The Fed controls it. Like whatever the government wants, they're going to do, and nobody can really tell you otherwise.
So is it a surprise that more houses have been sold for cash now then?
No,
not really.
But, you know, to wrap up what we were talking about, if you have cash and you're looking to put either more money down on the house or buy the house entirely cash, it all depends on what you're going to do with that money. If that money is going to do nothing, then yeah, pay it off. Don't pay the interest. But if you have something else to invest in, it's not always the best idea to put that money into the house. Because if you have other investments that are going to give you a larger return on your money, it's more wise to use that money towards those investments than to put it towards the mortgage. It's all about the opportunity cost.
You always want your money to work for you.
Right. So I think that wraps up that episode. If you have any questions in regards to residential financing, reach out to me. Let me know. Finance by James on all platforms.
Kevin sold my home on all media, social media platforms. hit the follow button and reach out if you have any questions.
And make sure to get your real estate hustle merch. Let everybody know that you're in the space. Showcase what you do. And yeah, that was the latest episode of Real Estate and Chill podcast. We will see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Real Estate and Chill podcast with James Chaudhry and Kevin Iglesias. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, share this with your friends, your enemies, your mother-in-law. No, seriously, this podcast is so fucking good. You might want to tell your ex. See you next time.